Our speaker, Dr. Sarah Jabbari, has switched on her camera and she is visible to us now. And on behalf of ICCS Bengaluru, I welcome heartily to each and every participant who have joined now and who will be joining during the presentation. Today is the second program of ICCS Bengaluru Chapter, and the first presentation held about a couple of months ago, and the presentation topic was the commonalities between Indian and Thailand cultures. Now we have Dr. Sarha Jabbari amongst us, who is a visual anthropologist born and brought up in Iran, and she has a doctorate in photography. She is basically a bachelor's in fine arts graduate, later did her MS and then PhD in fine arts. She took specialist courses in photojournalism at the Danish School of Media and Journalism in Denmark, followed by an master's in art history. Her first book published a few days ago, and the book is about Perso-Parsi visual encounters. Basically, it is an history of photography in Iran and among the Parsi community in India. She is also a documentary photographer who has been extensively working between Iranian Baloch, Zoroastrians, Parsis, and Kashmiri Pandits. Her work consistently aims to contribute to social awareness and change. Recently, she is on a project called Selective Sympathy, which is focused on Kashmiri Pandit refugees, which reflects her commitment to using photography for a greater cause. Her most recently with a MA in Visual Anthropology from Granada Center at the University of Manchester, Sarah combines films and photography in her visual ethnographic practice and cultural documentation. I know Sarah due to her project on Kashmiri Pandits in India. That is how we met. We both are documentary filmmakers, and that is how we met her. And today she is with us. Presently, she is in London, born and brought up in Iran, and has toured across many countries. Today, she will be presenting to us about the commonalities of customs and traditions between India and Iran. Let us start listening to her. The program will be like this. Next 30 minutes, she will be presenting her whatever she wants to tell. Then there will be 15 to 20 minutes of discussion. Then a vote of thanks, and we will be finishing the program. We would like to finish exactly by 8:05 max. So I would request Sarah to take over. Before that, I want to inform that Dr. Nandini is also here with us. She is the chairman of president of ICCS Bengaluru Chapter, and also we have Dr. Professor Shashi Bala, a professor in Delhi University, who is the national president of ICCS Bharat. Somewhere during the program, she will also be guiding us. So, Sarah, it's your time now.
Namaskar, Darud and everyone. Thank you very much, Pradipji, for hosting this session. And thank you all for being here. Thanks to International Center for Cultural Studies, the ICCS Bangalore chapter, for inviting me and for creating this space where we can explore deep cultural connections across regions and across different time periods. Today, I want to speak about something very simple but very important. The long relationship between Iran and India. I would use the word India, not Bharat here, because it goes better with the word Iran. So these two cultures have interacted for thousands of years, and many of their traditions, festivals, rituals, words, symbols, and even ideas of ancestry come from a shared ancient world. As it's not possible for the full depth of India-Iran connections in half an hour, I will only touch the main points, and I will focus strictly on the earliest period. Later history can be discussed another time. So let us begin with where these civilizations have started in time. So welcome everyone to this talk. Next slide, please. So Namaskar and Durud. And so early civilizations in both regions go back several thousand years. For instance, in Iran, we have Elam civilization, and in India, the Indus Valley civilization. Here you can see the map of Iran at its widest extent under the Achaemenid Persian Empire, covering parts of 3 continents. It is important to note that the modern country called Iran is only a small part of what is known as Greater Iran. Over the past few centuries, Iran lost several territories, and I have listed some of these regions and the details of their separation in the net. So here you can have a screenshot to see these areas are lost from Iran during several centuries. These are some of the areas actually. So here we can see some examples of shared religious symbols in both regions. In India, the swastika is a long-standing symbol of good fortune and sacred energy. In Iran, swastika was an ancient symbol of Mitra, the Lord of Light, the Lord associated with truth and rising sun. In both cultures, it was used for thousands of years. It also continued to appear even in Islamic art and architecture, as you can see swastika here. Here we can see another parallel. The sacred thread. In Hinduism and in Zoroastrianism, young people receive a sacred thread during an initiation ceremony. Although the rituals are different, the idea of marking a transition into religious responsibility through a thread is shared across both traditions. In both traditions, the sacred thread has a protective meaning. But I know that the next slide is going to talk about similar festivals between the 2 countries. For example, Nowruz in Iran, can you go back to the previous? And Navre in Kashmir, India, both mark the beginning of spring and the start of a new calendar cycle. These traditions come from very old seasonal practices that were shared across the Indo-Iranian world and have survived in different forms on both sides. These are rituals that involve household rituals, tables, and cleaning the home and remembering ancestors. In the next slide, which we will see, we see a group of Indians bringing gifts and tributes to Darius the Great for the Persian New Year. Now, these are pictures of Nowruz celebration. This is Kashmiri Pandit girl dancing in Navre, the New Year in Kashmir, and of course celebrated across India. The next slide, please. Next slide, please. And the next. Next. All right. So here we can see, in this slide, we can see a group of Indians bringing gifts and tribute to Darius the Great for the Persian New Year. So these connections of celebrating Persian New Year goes back to 1,000 years ago. In the next picture, we can see that Emperor Darius the Great, in Naxar-Rustam inscription and in Persepolis inscription, lists all the lands under his rule. One of them is Hindush, the region of the Indus, the northwest India, which is Sindh. So in ancient Persian, they used to call it Hindush. Here also we have fire festival. Fire is a sacred element in both cultures. In Iran, Sadeh festival. In India, Lohri, midwinter fire rites celebrating light and warmth, which they are waiting for. Both keep the ancient Indo-Iranian idea that fire renews the world. Here we can see another ritual, Farabardingan in Iran and Pitri Paksha in India. Both are dedicated to honoring ancestors. Families welcome the spirit of the departed, offer food and prayers, and remember those who came before them. Next one, please. I gathered some Persian expressions in language that contains references to India. Since we don't have much time, I will move forward, and you can also take screenshots if you wish. Here I like this, the second proverb here, which says, "Hai to tabuz khahad jor Hindustan keshad," means whoever wants the peacock must endure the hardship of traveling to India. Means nothing valuable comes without effort. So the name of India is constantly being used in our literature as a symbol of diversity and precious things. So here also we can see that some Persian food terms that contain references to India This shows how ingredients, taste, and trade routes link the two regions for centuries. We call watermelon as Hindavane, Hind means, and Tamra Hindi, which is tamarind, and Jose Hindi. This slide talks about this section about language. It shows how the languages of Iran and India are connected at their deepest level. All of them go back to one very old language that scholars call Proto-Indo-European. From this ancient language came a branch called Indo-Iranian. So basically, Avestian language in Iran and Sanskrit language in India are considered as sisters, unidentical twins born from Proto-Indo-Iranian languages. So here we can see the Proto-Indo-European as the main language, and we have other branches, which one branch is Indo-Iranian. Is later divided into three groups: Iranian languages, Indo-Aryan languages, Nuristani languages. So Avestian, Old Persian, Persian, Kurdish, Pashto, Baluchi comes from the Iranian family. Vedic Sanskrit, Classic Sanskrit, Hindi, Bengali, Punjabi comes from Indo-Aryan, and Nuristani was spoken in parts of Afghanistan. What this chart shows is Persian and Sanskrit and today's Iranian and Indian languages come from the same linguistic ancestry. So this is why there are so many similarities. Here, this is very important. Languages are split because of linguistic innovation which happens even inside the same region. You can have two communities living side by side, but if one group changes how they pronounce certain sounds or shift certain grammar patterns, they become two distinct branches, even before they physically move apart. So here we talk about geography of Iran and India in Gothic and Vedic textual. Gothic sources are the Gatha, the oldest part of Avesta. So the name in Vedic sources are Aryavarta, and in Gothic Avestian sources Aryan and Ved. So here is the geography that Avesta provides for us, 16 main regions. So here we can see the historical names which has been used in Indian textual sources: Aryavarta, Bharata, and interestingly, the Hindustan is a Persian usage which goes back to in Avesta we call Sindh as Hind, because Avestian language the Sanskrit S is read as H. And India itself is a Greek Latin pronunciation from the Persian Hindu, which was from Sindhu, right? So here, the historical names of Iran: Aryan and Vaja or Arya, Iran, Iran Shah, and Persia. So as you can see, all the names goes around Iran. And why Persia? Because the Greeks called the entire territory under Persian Empire as Persia. But the word Iran literally means land of Aryans. Names of Iran in different Iranian languages. So in this slide, we look at the historical use of Arya as a, so I gave 4 references. If you would like to have a screenshot, I just read the first one that says, Darius the Great says that I am an Aryan of the lineage of Iranian, or the Aryan lineage. Or for instance, in Sasanian period number 3, we can see that the king calls himself the king of kings of the Iranians, the Aryans, and the non-Iranians. Non-Iranian is called an Iran. So here we have the oldest creation myth, Vedic, Indian, and Gothic. Since we don't have much time, I just very quickly I scanned the information. So they both have their own myth of creation, which the Vedic talks about Nasadya stuff, which is about universe began in darkness, stillness, and it was from a single impulse of heat and desire. In Gothic references, we have the creation based on the tension between Asha, truth, and Duruj, which is chaos or lie. So here also, this is very interesting. So here we can see some similarities between the creation, the myth of creation between Iran and India. So I just move forward. But this is very important, so I talk about this slide. The old Vedic culture and old Iranian culture, Gothic culture, they share a cosmic principle in their oldest layer, which it is called Rita in Vedic and Asha in Gothic. So Rita in the Rig Veda means cosmic order or truth, and in Gotha, Asha means truth or right order. Both terms come from the same Proto-Indo-Iranian root meaning truth or right order. After the Indo-Iranian split, Asha remained central in Iranian Zoroastrian tradition. In the later Vedic tradition, Rita was gradually replaced by newer concepts such as Dharma, moral order, action and consequences. So here, one example from Rig Veda, which says, by Rita, Rita is upheld. It is the firm, unchanging principle. And Gata says, through Asha, truth, O Mazda, you grant strength to life. Here, Artha, Asha, Rita, all of them are from same family. We can see Artha in Iran, Artha as an Iranian word, gets combined with will, which means the settlement, and it creates the name of cities. For instance, Artavil, which means a sacred place, and in New Persian it is called Ardabil. There are other Persian cities with the Artha, which is like Ardastan, Ardakan, and so on. Here, some pictures, please move on. Pictures from Ardabil or Artavil, the sacred place. Next. This is in northwest of Iran. Okay, so here also we have oldest common elements of Indo-Iranian stage. Very quickly I scan. You can take screenshot. Like in India it's mantra, we say mantra. In India it's Gita, we say it Gata. In Iran the priest was the Zautar and the Vedic one was Hotar. So Atravan, and we say Atravan. And Mitra, the god, and Mitra in Zoroastrianism, Soma or Homa, and Asura or Ahura. These are similar concepts remained in both religions. Here I talk about Asura and Ahura. The highest gods are called Asura early on in Vedic textual sources. In the oldest Rigvedic hymns, Asura is a title of honor. It means Lord, Mighty One, morally powerful, ruler with spiritual authority. Examples are Varuna, Mitra, Indra, Agni. They are called repeatedly Asura. So in Rig Veda it says, the gods first took on the Asura lordship. So gods obtain the Asuratva and before they become God. And we can see that Asura here is higher than Deva in conceptual hierarchy. Deva in early Rig Veda means shining one. It's a category and not a rank. We are talking about the earliest stage, which we have in hands, the documents we have in hands. So in another sense, the verse in Veda, it says, great is the one Asura power of the Devas, which means the Devas are powerful because they have Asura nature. So, however, in India, Asura later becomes demonic, and Deva became negative and demonic in Iranian tradition. So we can see a complete shift in both countries, in both traditions. In the Avestian language, Deva become false god, demonic beings. In Middle Persian, which comes after Avesta, it's Div, and in New Persian also we call it Div, which means demon. This reversal is one of the clearest markers of the Indo-Iranian religious split. However, Ahura in Iran remained positive and the only god. Ahura Mazda means the Lord of Wisdom, and Khuda is one of his names in Middle Persian and New Persian. So here, extremely rare depiction of Ahura Mazda, the sole creator god of Zoroastrianism, on Kushan coins, which is found in Peshawar, Gandhara. Some scholars believe the appearance supreme god of Zoroastrianism, Ahura Mazda, was rare because Kushans may have hesitated to put the most important deity on secular currency, reserving less exalted gods' purpose. Ahura Mazda appears on Kushan coins, though less frequently than other deities. Often depicted in a Hellenic style with a religious royal connection. These coins followed Gandharan traditions, claiming divine favor by placing a king's portrait on the obverse and a popular god, including Ahura Mazda, on the reverse. Here, the favorite part, Saraswati, the Devi in Vedic culture, and Advisura Anahita. Anahita is a Yagata, a good worthy of worship, divine being, but it's not God. God is only Ahura Mazda, and the idea of Yazata comes later, in later Avesta, not in Gata. So basically, here we can see the goddess Saraswati from the Vedic tradition and Anahita from the Iranian tradition. They have both kind of relation with water, and both are linked to protection and strength. And Anahita, like Mother Durga, the Hindu goddess, is described as a warrior figure in several ancient texts. Here there is a contemporary statue of Anahita in North Iran. This is the depiction of Anahita in Sasanian art form. This is the temple of Anahita in Iran from 3rd century, 1st century BC to 3rd century. Next one, please. Here is the iconography of Anahita, similar to Mother Durga. So here, why I mentioned Saraswati at the same time, related to our previous talk. Since Saraswati refers to a river in India too, I brought another example of similarities between the two traditions. In the Avesta, there are 16 good lands created by Ahura Mazda. The 10th is called Haravati, which in Sanskrit appears as Saraswati. So here is the list of 16 good lands created by Ahura Mazda. The 10th one is Haravati, which in Sanskrit is Saraswati. And the 15th one is Hapta Hindu, which is 7 rivers, Punjab. Interestingly, in Vedic geography also we have the Hapta Hindu. So here I brought 2 sentences from Avesta, from Vandidot Fargard 1, verse 12 and 18, which says, the 10th of the good lands which I, Ahura Mazda, created was the beautiful Haravati, which is today's Kandahar in Afghanistan. And the 5th of the good lands that Ahura Mazda created was Hapta Hindu, the land of the 7 rivers. And in Sanskrit, it is called Sapta Sindhu. But interestingly, here we can see the word for that beautiful land is called Paradism, which the word paradise, etymological source of paradise, is this Avestan word. So, final words. Identities are historical layers. Cultural groups form, merge, split, and reform across millennia. A claim to an unchanged fixed identity stretching back millennia is fundamentally biased against the nature of culture itself. No cultural group can inherit a culture exactly as it existed several thousand years ago, especially when early cultural forms were themselves products of interaction and exchange with other cultures of the time. Cultural identity is a living historical process which is continually evolving, adopting, and shaped by encounters and changes. No society remains the same across thousands of years, nor should we expect it. Modern nationalism projects today's politics onto ancient societies. This is a political move, not a historical fact. Ancient cultures did not shape themselves for today's political advantage. Sometimes modern states selectively use history, but the past itself is mixed, plural, and most importantly, evolving. The same process that transformed the divine Asura into a demon or turned the good Devis into a false being, how meanings shift across time and context. Recognizing this complexity allows us to challenge purity narratives and to build dialogue with symbols. Here I just wanted to show the place of Iran and India on the map. We can see it's absolutely dominant in Asia. This is the main point of my speech, that these shared symbols and cultural heritage can be mobilized in academic, artistic, and diplomatic settings to create bridge that improve our shared lives in today's global world, where inclusion gives us greater strength than exclusion or separatism. They can also help countries stand together against forms of fundamentalism or rigid ideas that reject coexistence, and encourage us to use our shared past to build a safer and more cooperative future. Throughout history, both Iran and India have experienced major partitions driven by very different political forces. Iran gradually lost its eastern territories, regions of today's Afghanistan and parts of Central Asia during the 18th and 19th century. India later faced the trauma of the 1947 partition, which divided communities along religious lines. During these centuries, external powers also removed Persian language from the Indian subcontinent, disconnecting many communities from a shared cultural and literary heritage that had linked Iran and India for almost 1,000 years. The region then saw further changes. The rise of extremist groups in Afghanistan, political changes in Iran in 1979, and militant insurgency in Kashmir in 1989. Had these events not unfolded as they did, Iran and India would likely still share long borders, forming a vast continuous cultural zone across much of Asia. Today, India, primarily a Hindu-majority country, and Iran, the major Shia country, find themselves surrounded by regions where various fundamentalist movements have gained influence. These movements often reject religious coexistence and label other communities in exclusionary ways. In this context, the shared Indo-Iranian heritage becomes even more important. It reminds us that across thousands of years, these lands were connected through language, culture, philosophy, and exchange, and that this deep past can help both societies work towards unity and the stabilization of the wider region in Asia. Javid Iran, Jai Hind, Sapas, Dhanyavad.
Now we have Dr. Shashi Balaji, our national president. Shashi Balaji, you can go ahead with.
Namaskar, Jabbari ji and Pradeep ji and all the distinguished members of ICCS. It was a great presentation, and the conclusion is so important for not only the two countries but all of us, the whole humanity, because when there is culture, when there is cultural linkages, then we build bridges of friendship. And when there is geopolitics, then there is confrontation, and then we become, in place of friends, we become foes. So it's a very, very important subject to understand each other. So first of all, I must congratulate Saraji to give such an extensive presentation with talking about different areas of culture, because culture is not just what we eat and what we wear and how do we live. Culture includes many areas, like as you have shown us, spirituality, the linguistic elements, history, arts, and all these things. We have been talking about all these things, but there is no concrete effort for doing more work into it. For example, when you were showing one slide, there was a word gashti. Gashti means going somewhere. So it's exactly like Sanskrit gachati. And Aryanam and Aryana and all this we have been talking about, but there is no good work on the linguistic similarities. There is no good dictionary so far as I know. Maybe there is, I'm not sure. If there is any, please do let me know. That there a dictionary of cognates, Sanskrit and Iranian? Because as of for example, we are making one scholar made a dictionary in Lithuania, Sanskrit Lithuanian cognates. Now we are working on a much bigger dictionary of Sanskrit cognates. And then there is another project that we have just drafted. It is about Sanskrit cognates in Armenian language. So in Iran also we see a lot of similarities. Dr. Raghuvira was the only scholar in India who has worked on the similarities of Zend-Avesta and Sanskrit, and giving different ideas and research what he has done. So you see, it was so amazing for me because I work on China, Japan, etc., Central Asia. So I find a number of things that come from Iran. When we talk about Buddhism, in Buddhist art, we saw a number of things that come from Iran, and they have reached up to Japan. So we have not worked on this area. And Gandhar, as you said, because it was a center of knowledge because of the universities, etc. I would be happy to tell you that long-time relations, and there are more than 3,000 Sanskrit texts translated into Chinese. Can you believe that the first translator of Sanskrit text into Chinese was a Persian prince? His name is Anshikau. It's amazing to know. So when I look at your presentation, I found two goddesses like Durga and Saraswati. Is there anything that is related or something similar to goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth also? It is just my question, because in India we worship three goddesses. That is, one is for power, that is, power is administration and military power. The second is Saraswati, Saraswati the goddess of learning, and third is Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. So all these three we need for a state. That is very, very important. And I would like to ask
Sarah,
you,
Sarah, you can answer that.
Yes,
maybe later you can just write down and just let me finish in just 1 minute. Names of the places. Do you have any similar names that correlate to Sanskrit? Like you have Hapta Hindu, Sapta Sindhu. Sapta Sindhu is the area of Sindhu River because there are 7 tributaries. So it was the major area where the Vedas were written. So that means that it was so close. We had very close relations, especially in the Vedic periods. And similar, we can see differences because people have different ways of speaking. For example, in India even, you will see in Kashmir people pronounce differently, in South people pronounce differently, and then another factor to give us differences is the alphabet. Whatever we have in one alphabet, maybe for example Indian alphabet Devanagari, the Greek alphabet or the Latin alphabet, they don't have those sounds. So sounds is another problem, and that we have to work on the alphabets also, the difference and the similarities both. So there is one question that has anybody worked on the temple architecture in Iran? And finally, I would again like to, with this just a few questions, I would like to request you that please let us be together to have some more projects going deep into the cultures of the two countries and looking at the similarities, not at the differences, because that is the soft power of both the countries to bring peace in the world. So as you said, that cultures were not meant for politics. Later it became. So it's not good. So let us have culture as culture and see how we are one. Because the whole humanity was one. And it is still can be one. If it is only the differences because of the mindset. So thank you very much, and thank all the members and all those who have joined this wonderful lecture. And I was so impressed and I was so enthusiastic about it to listen to you. Thank you.
And namaskar. Thank you very much, Pala ma'am, for your questions. Would you like to receive the answer now, or I send you later? But about your final point, which you talked about culture and unity, that is exactly my point, because I think at today's world, with the politics we all are witness, a very powerful tool and weapon could be shared culture, because sometimes extremism, the extremists who under name of their gods, they can commit so many massacre or genocide, they are not simply aware that their own culture is built over other cultures in the past. Do they think that their culture or their religion has just suddenly fallen from somewhere, and they exclude themselves from the rest? That creates tension, and that gets moved into result of genocide. So if we value the shared culture, because we are dealing with different layers of culture constantly in every region, if we find the mutuality, that will protect us against extremism. So here, even if extremists, they close their eyes on the neutrality and bonds, if we give more awareness to people, they might not get easily manipulated with the extremists.
You see, nobody wants wars. Nobody wants killing.
This is Dr. Mallikashan Hoga, Central University of Karnataka. Madam, one have little bit need more information. Even though this much of good relation, a historical background we have for Indo-Iran, even though why relation is not accepted level going, what would be the hindrance? Where we are missing to fill those gaps to improve more relations to come to Indo-Iran relations?
Okay, thank you for your question. Could you please just repeat the gap? I couldn't understand the question properly. Which gap you are referring to?
Yes, yes. No, what I am even though this much we have similar and historical background, we have two countries, nation relations and all. But even though accepted level, the relations is not going, what would be the hindrance? Yeah, what would be the challenges to accepted relation is not coming to bring out?
Thank you for your question. Actually, that your question is one of my aims and objectives in my future journey. I think first, obviously, the governments of countries, they have this heavy responsibility to take action. But sometimes, for reasons, they are not interested in investing much in these kind of similarities, or simply it just goes vanished after just few attempts. So I think we as individuals have our own responsibility to know about it and to start connecting. I have actually so many instances. I would like to give only one. I have a friend for several years. He's an Indian friend. I was always talking to him that we don't wear burqa in Iran, and even the hijab that we have, it's compulsory, but it's just a piece of cloth on the head. And I have shown him so many videos about how so-called hijab actually is in Iran, is being practiced. But more than 100 times, I received the same messages that, oh, you wear burqa, or what is the hijab? And recently I received a message that in Iran, nobody wears burqa. I'm very surprised. And I said, for several years, I told you we don't wear it, but now you repeat the same thing. So why I brought up this example? Sometimes even people know about something, but they choose not to see it, or they don't transfer their information. So we should understand, by suppressing the truth or by suppressing a group of people who are voiceless themselves, we are not going to help ourselves at any ways. The only way to help ourselves is to help the neighbor. The more powerful the neighbor is, the more powerful our cause is, the more powerful our ways of dealing with problems is. I mentioned that Iran and India could be neighbors. And after partition, Iran and India also became divided. And imagine if Iran and India right now were neighbors. We had enormous power because Iran and India have always had very good relationship. And just if you look at the map, you will see that these are the actual civilizations in Asia. These are the center, the core of Asia. But how they divided us? They divided the countries, they divided people, they cut off access to language, like Persian language has been removed. So to come to the conclusion, I would say it's very much in the hands of governments to have a proper policy to create that intimacy, to create that interaction. But if our governments, for any reason, they do not do as much they can, at the individual level, we all must try. We should be in touch, and connected. We spread awareness.
Raghuveer, you can go ahead and be brief.
Thank you, Pradeep. And hi everyone, I am Raghuveer Bapat here. See, I am asking a simple question. See, I study certain history and whatever in our Purana says, but one direct question to Miss Sarah. You please look into this. We would like to know the actual, the history of Mahabharata. There is some connection between India and Mahabharata. It says Madra, the Madra sometimes resembles the name of certain ancient Iranian and Central Asian tribes. That there is some speculations is there. You please look into this and get me that. Such as that Medas means it is a Mada. I don't know what exactly it is. Okay. And and one more point. Cultural similarities between North and Western ancient Indian kingdoms and neighboring Iranian tribes sometimes lead to theories of early migration or shared ancestry. I don't know what exactly it is. So I would like to actually, I joined a little late. Now my friend Mr. Pradeep, he has already shared the PPT. I will go through it. But before this session, I just would like to share my certain questions and my queries. You please look into this. If you have any certain significant evidence regarding these points, you please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ji, for your question. Okay, I just go straight to the point. Basically, there is no evidence that a certain migration has happened because nobody knows some 1,000 years ago what has happened. But based on what we have in hand from cultural linguistic evidence which we have, we can almost be sure that there is a shared ancestry. Now here about migration, some might not agree because of, from my perspective, because of political reasons. Because some extremist group can take the idea of migration and use it against India and against unity of India. Because for them, migration means you're outsider, so you don't belong. But the history doesn't work like this. 1,000 years ago, people didn't have the idea we have today about nation or place. So when we talk about migration, we have two different reality. One happened in the past because as I believe in science, we all are from Africa. So migration constantly has happened among different human groups. Nobody has come from sky. No one has fell from somewhere. We are result of constant evolution and constant transportation and movement. So if we refer to the generally accepted theory, which is not approved by proper scientific reason, scientific evidence, but it is a theory which is generally approved, they assume that a group of people from some 1,000 years ago, from the near Aral, between Aral and Caspian Sea, they have came down because of the extreme cold. Because in Iranian mythology, you can find references that because of cold, they had to come to other lands down the Aral and Caspian area. So here again, I would say, as we can see, there are so many mutuality. So there is a shared ancestry. But if this is going to be used against totality of a country to request for being separated, separatism, these are real issues. So people who don't have good intentions, they utilize such things to say you don't belong. But who decides who belongs? This is the main question. Main question, I would say, is not the migration, because all of us are migrants from Africa. But the question is, who belongs to which geography? I would answer, the one who is serving the geography, serving the nation, whatever religion they have, whatever ethnicity they have, whatever language they speak. If they don't serve their nation, they don't belong. And if they are serving the nation, they belong, whatever they are, wherever they are.
Thank you very much, Saraji. There is one more question. What is the name Yazdi related to Iran?
Yeah, nice question. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, the word Yazdi means related to the city of Yazd. City of Yazd today is in Iran. But the origin of the word goes back to Yazata. And Yazata comes from the verb, the Avestan verb, which means Yaz. The root of the word is Yaz, means worship, veneration, which in Sanskrit it is, from Yaz, we have Yasna, means worship, and in Sanskrit it's Yagna, which means worship and, praising. So the Yaz comes from this root, basically, veneration. The word Yazata which are divine beings, lower than Ahura Mazda in hierarchy, spiritual hierarchy. So they're also called Yazata. And the name of Zoroastrianism actually is Mazda Yasni, means worshipping, praising Mazda. But the Western scholars call it Zoroastrianism, means religion of Zoroaster, Zarathustra, the Iranian prophet. Zoroaster itself is a Greek pronunciation of Zarathustra. So yeah, Yazdi goes back to Yaz, city of Yaz, and then to the earlier Avestan verb called Yaz, or Yasno as a verb, as a noun.
Thank you,
He's
Saraji.
also a filmmaker and has worked with Iranians. Aditya ji, quick question please, and after this, Nandini ji will take over.
Thank you. Hi, Sarah. That was a wonderful presentation. Really, really nice. I've had a long association with Iranians. I've taught Iranian students documentary filmmaking. I was invited to Tehran by DEFC for a film screening, and I was guest of honor there once. So I've done a lot of research on what you're talking about. I've read a lot about this, and I had planned a documentary on this. Are you making a film on this? Firstly.
Actually, I am in the process of ethnography of Kashmiri Pandits. So
Okay.
basically, it's a kind of symbolic way of shared ancestry of Iranian and Indians. So about this specific topic, no, but I'm working in this regard.
Right, because there's a book by Fritz Stahl, Rediscovering the Vedas. And that book talks about the entirety of what your presentation has summarized, from the Urals till the Sindhu, till they reached there, and how language evolved and the similarity of language, and how the drift happened, and how one word became another, and so on and so forth, and culture became something else. So yes, so I found a lot of resonance in that. So this should be made into a film. You know, I mean, I'd love to make a film on this. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm really happy that you put everything in a context and brought it together so well. And more power to you, and hope to connect with you again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya ji. Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. If we can make a film on that, I mean, more of us should work on this regard.
We must.
Yeah.
For the betterment of our own community.
Absolutely. Especially going with the political rhetoric these days, I think a film like this is the need of the hour. Yeah.
Today we had a very enlightening lecture by Sarah Jabbari, and I'm really grateful to you because you enlightened us about the shared cultural similarities. Especially, you know, it started with a sacred thread, a simple thing, then festivals, fire, festival, and beginning of the spring season, how they celebrate in both the, geographical locations, then ancestral rituals, then the language, especially about the language, the words, which are very similar, maybe which has the same original word. So it's very huge information, but I hope we will learn more. We can have more and more interaction, and I love to hear from you again and again in future. Thank you all participants for your patience listening, because initially there was some hiccups. Thank you once again to Pradeep ji for sharing the information with all of us. Thank you, Raji. We wish to listen to you again once again. Thank you for being with us and spending your valuable time.
Thank you very much, Nandini ji, Pradeep ji. Thanks everybody for attending this talk. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.